What's going
What's up,
on?
buddy?
Can
How
you hear
are
me?
you? Yeah, I can hear you, man. You hear me too? Good?
All's good. Yeah, everything's good. How about you?
I love it, man. California, it's springtime. Dodgers won last night, right? Things are going well. I'm happy. I know you're happy. Glad to catch up with you, man. Good to see you. It's been a little while. I think last time we actually saw each other was Omaha last year,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a minute.
Oh man, yeah, Omaha. Geez, wow, great dinner though. I think what was that restaurant we went to? Drover.
Yeah,
I think it was called the
that place
Drover.
was great.
Dude, I remember it was the whiskey marinated ribeye steaks that I had, and like all of it, man. We ate all of it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good time.
I actually had a friend, tell me that they had to go to Omaha for some business, and they're like, "You've been to Omaha a couple of times. What is there to do?" And I was like, "Drover. That's it. Do
That's all you need to
that,
know.
and you can't go wrong, right? Yeah, man. Well, dude, thanks for joining us today. You look good. I've always enjoy watching your story and your growth. So glad to meet you last year. Jake and I have been acquainted through a national mastermind group of top agents around the country. And that's how we got connected. And I want to give a shout out to my friend in Bozeman, Nicole Toronto. She kind of put me onto this format here, and I was like, man, I know a lot of people around the country. I know you do too, Jake. And I thought, hey, man, this will be great. Have the LA and the New York connection for our very first Instagram live session. So thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy.
No, I'm very excited. This is my first time doing an Instagram live, so it's definitely a different format, but I like it. It's different. It's a good way to get connected with a lot of the Instagram community as opposed to doing some of the other live calls that we've done. So I like this.
Yeah,
Thank
this,
you for putting this
this is fun.
together.
People from all over the country. There's Nicole right now. She knows it's thanks to her. She gave me the idea for this, and you know Nicole as well. So it's all friends here. One of the great things about being in the industry for a long time and being at that top tier level is you meet great people. And Jake is an amazing person. I'm so glad that he's here for my audience and for his audience. We're going to showcase a little bit of the stuff that he does in his part of the region. So, Jake, tell them who you are, a little bit about
Yep.
your background in real estate, where you work at, your marketplace, all that good stuff. Let's do the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been in the industry as a broker for 10 years. I started on the investment side of things. I had a background in construction and residential investment, small multifamily, like residential flipping, things like that. Initially got in to kind of really source deals, honestly. And then after 2 or 3 years as a broker, I said, you know what? Why don't I try and really take this full time and be serious about it, see what we can do. And after 10 years, I have a team, the Garay Mashaw team. We're with Sirhan. I'm the founding agent for Sirhan in the Hudson Valley. We brought the company here, which has been a great opportunity. And we have a team now of 19 agents. We service basically the suburban area and like the second home market for the New York City, Greater Manhattan, and the boroughs. So we're everything from, just outside New York City all the way up in New York to almost just south of Albany. So the Hudson Valley region, Westchester County, Rockland County, that area, and then into Connecticut is where Fairfield County and Litchfield County. So kind of different markets, definitely different dynamics in each market. But it's really interesting, and every day is a new opportunity, and it's great. It's been a good experience.
You know, the one thing I know about your market, and to be clear with some of our audience here in Los Angeles, my friends who are watching, and people around the country, you don't service Manhattan, okay? You service the suburbs are right there in between,
Mhm.
the island and then Connecticut, where there's a lot of, mega mansions right there, right? I mean, I've
Hmm.
seen some of your
Yeah.
listings, dude. They're premium stuff. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So
So
some of the counties are some of the highest median sale price counties in the United States. Along with many of the markets in California and in Florida, right? Those are kind
yeah.
of like where you see the biggest, and then like the greater DC area.
It's kind of like people here people from other areas, they think, oh, you're here in Los Angeles, Vic, you must sell Beverly Hills. And it's a different marketplace. I sell Mid City, East Side, Northeast Side, West Side, that little area right there is completely different. So just want to be clear on the marketplace you serve. And Jake, what is your average price point in the Hudson Valley?
Yeah, so in the Hudson Valley itself, which is, say, a commuter market to New York City and a second home market, median price point ranges, depending on town location, anywhere from like 600,000 to say 800,000. And then when you get into like the suburbs just outside of New York City, that's where you'll get the median is like between a million to a million two. And then in certain locations, there's some towns that have a median sale price of say 2.5 million. So it really is specific to the location. Some of the areas, like for example, Greenwich, Connecticut or Scarsdale, New York. These are high net worth areas. They offer close proximity to the city. So those areas typically skew towards the high end. And then in the Hudson Valley area, median is like right in the sweet spot is say 600,000.
Gotcha. Jake, are you licensed in New York and Connecticut, both states?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep. So our team services both of those markets, which is great. I think the reason that we set that is because the buyers, 80% of the clientele that we have coming and moving into the area come from New York City, whether it's second home buyers, whether it's primary residence buyers, whether it's investors. And so that person is kind of the same profile. And then if they choose New York or Connecticut, it may be for personal reasons, it may be for town location specific reasons, but it's essentially the same buyer. So the reason we cover both of those markets is we want to make sure that we can maintain that relationship and kind of work with them in both areas instead of passing them off to another broker every time they want to look across state lines.
Yeah, that's uniquely different there on the Upper East Coast where you guys are so jam packed together. I also have friends down in Philadelphia, and they service Jersey on one side of the river and then Philly on the other side, so they're duly licensed as
Yep.
well. We don't really have that here in Los Angeles because you got to go about 4 hours, northeast to hit Nevada. And then there's a massive desert in between. So people, are like, hey,
Yep.
man, I can't sell you a house in Vegas and LA. In LA, we do have people who are duly licensed, and some of our people are actually licensed in Arizona, Nevada, and California. But we're taking flights to those locations. You're just taking a little quick drive, right?
Yeah. I mean, in some areas, we could be 30 minutes from New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. So it's all very, very close to, right around the city, right around Manhattan. Once you get
Yeah,
outside of there, all the states kind of converge at that point.
yeah. That's tri-state area right there, man. Kudos to you for
Yep,
that. Having to
exactly.
pass multiple tests and exams, and then also staying compliant with two different states' requirements.
That's the worst part. Because
I
they're
have
not,
friends.
there's a lot of differences.
I'm certain there are, man. I got some friends here in California who have a hard time keeping up with one state, right, and being compliant here. And you're doing it in multiple states, so hats off to you, my man. That's good stuff. Now, not a lot of people, again, you're not in Manhattan, right? You are,
Mhm.
outside suburbs, in between, upstate and Connecticut, a little bit right there. What are some of the key attractions or events that the Hudson Valley specifically is known for that most people just, wouldn't even think of?
Yeah, I think so. The Hudson Valley specifically is a really unique market. It's really gotten a lot of notoriety in the last, say, 10 years in terms of travel and vacations. It's become a destination. Ironically enough, there's actually been some studies done by like Wall Street Journal and such, because in New York City, a lot of people think second home market, they think the Hamptons, right? Like that's the very, really hot destination. The Hudson Valley over the last 10 years has become like the alternative to the Hamptons. So for people who don't want to fight traffic, go out east, spend 4 to 6 hours trying to get from New York City there, you can get up to the Hudson Valley in some locations in under an hour. So, there's wineries, there's phenomenal hiking and scenery, there's farms and apple orchards, and then there's a lot of attractions, big shopping plazas, outlets and things like that. Lego World opened up in one of the areas, which has been a big driver for demand and a lot of development in that area. So now you have like amusement parks and so there's a lot of travel into the area, both internationally, and that's something because we're on the East Coast. People from Europe, even we get a lot of people from Europe that come over and they spend the summer here or they retire here. We get a lot of people up in some of the northern parts of the Hudson Valley that buy second homes, and so it's kind of one of those areas that the scenery is absolutely beautiful. Actually, I believe it was National Geographic actually ranked it as like one of the top 10 places in the world to visit a few years ago. So it's really starting to gain a lot of notoriety in that sense. And then on top of that, you have a whole vibrant like primary residence community as well, where people are buying based on commutability to New York City. You can get into the city in most areas in under an hour, multiple train lines, great school districts. So there's all these different factors that are driving this, and then also just the amount of space that you get. There's a lot of places you can get an acre, 2 acres of land, get a lot of privacy, and so that's also a big factor when people are kind of figuring out if they want to move, north or not.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I did not know you guys had a Legoland out there. That's something new that I learned right now. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have one here in California. It's right in between Los Angeles and San Diego. I think it's in Carlsbad or that area. I've never
Yep.
been before, but I heard it's kind of cool. So that's good. And I can imagine somebody who's living in Manhattan, right? I have some friends who, I mean, I have a lot of family in Queens and Astoria, and have some friends in Alphabet City. And I can imagine getting out of Alphabet City, paying that, $7,200 a month for that two-bedroom, one bathroom, and then going up to the Hudson Valley and just getting, a yard, right? A
Yeah.
garage, your
Yeah.
own place, like not a little cramped apartment, right? So very cool, man. I can see who your audience is, and why people would go there and retire from Europe. It's a nice little vacation area. Would you consider like the Hudson Valley and the hiking and the nature vibe there kind of considerable to our friend Max in the Poconos? Is that very similar?
Yeah, there's definitely a big element of that for sure. There's a lot of a very vibrant arts culture in a lot of the river towns. Beacon, Kingston, Woodstock. These are areas that are it's like a combination of like the art community and then on top of that, like the outdoorsy nature of it. And so you have like a lot of wellness, businesses and like wellness retreats. And there's even like luxury hotels and spas that are now popping up designed for that, like connecting with nature, being outdoors. And so I think that's a big, big part of it. We get a lot of people coming from like Brooklyn because there's a lot of towns that give that kind of like Brooklyn-esque type vibe as well. So it's kind of like, there's something literally for everybody. There's urban areas that are city centers that have vibrant communities, and then you can buy a house on 15, 20 acres, be in the middle of the woods, have your own, pond or lake, have your own hiking trails, or you can do, kind of like the homesteading movement, right? Where people are getting like chickens and goats and horses and they're kind of like living off the land. So depending on where you are, there is really something for everyone. It just really depends on the lifestyle that people are wanting to live. And that's a lot of our process, honestly, is like why are you moving here and what is the lifestyle that you want? And that's kind of how we're guiding them through where they should kind of hone in on their search.
What a difference coming from Brooklyn to a homestead community where you can have your own chickens, man.
Yeah. Especially
Somebody
now,
was saying,
egg prices.
somebody sent me an Instagram meme a couple days ago, and this is for us and the pros. They're saying here in California now they're buying cannabis in the stores and they're buying eggs on the street because it's cheaper. What world are we living in, right? It's reality, guys. It is what it is. So that's cool to know, man. I did not know that about Hudson Valley. Then you mentioned Woodstock is up there too. Kind of gives you an idea
Yep.
of the area up there. Now let's imagine this. Let's imagine somebody from any part of the country, right? From Seattle, from Austin, Texas, from Miami, from LA, is considering moving to your
Mhm.
area, the Hudson Valley. They're going to relocate either to retire or for a job or to be closer to family, whatever the case may be. If they were relocating to your neck of the woods, what would they need to know? What's the good stuff? What's the things they need to be aware of? The idea. What would you say to them?
So I would say, first and foremost, we'll start with the things you definitely want to take into consideration, right? Is, when you create a budget, pricing is all over the place, right? You could get 2,000 square feet and spend $2 million, and you could get 2,000 square feet and spend, $400,000. So I think you have to take into consideration, much like California, we have taxes that vary greatly from town to town. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is bringing it back to that lifestyle, right? Like we literally have something for everyone. It just really depends on What do you want to do? How do you want to live your life? Do you need accessibility to New York City, right? Because that's a big part of it. And then some people are like, I don't care about the city. I'm never going in there. I don't need to be there. So then look further
Mm,
north, right? Look at places that you can get more for your money. And I think that's a lot of what drives the conversation. The closer you get to New York City, the more expensive it gets, the more
right.
money it is, the less space you get, the more congested it gets. And so it really just depends on what you want, where you want to be, right? If you want to be on a lake near the river, like there's all these amazing things that are here. It's just you got to find it, right? And if people don't know about it, they don't know it exists. People think New York, they immediately just think of New York City. And then everything north of the city, you'll talk to them. It's a big debate here. Is like what's upstate, right? And to most of the people down there, everything north of the city is upstate. But really
Yeah,
upstate is an all-encompassing thing. It's like where could you be and what type of lifestyle do you want to live, really?
got it. I understand that. That's why I wanted to make it very clear to our audience that you're not in Manhattan, you're not on the island, you're outside of that, and there is a difference. Just like I said, people here think I'm in Beverly Hills, right? I'm in downtown, I'm in a high rise. That is not Beverly Hills. We're
Yeah.
in a completely different area. So I understand where you're coming from. So it really depends from what you're telling me on the lifestyle they want to live, right? So if somebody needs to
hmm
commute to the city, maybe you move a little bit closer to one of the towns that has transit readily available. If they're not going to the city, it's a completely different vibe, right? If you head a little bit further
Right.
north. Okay,
It's completely
understood.
different. Yeah. And I think what we've seen is post COVID, there was a big desire. Like people wanted to get out of the city, but they still wanted to feel like they had their neighborhood coffee shop. They still wanted to feel like they had, their local restaurant where you go in, you're on a first name basis with the people. Like they liked that sense of community. And so that's something that I think is really, really nice here is you have a ton of local businesses. There's boutique shopping. There's all these different things that make it feel like, depending on what your vibe is, you can find like a super artsy community, an outdoorsy community, a sportsy community, like all these different types of communities are here. And then on top of that, you've got vibrant college campuses and all these different things. So there is really a lot going on. It's just a matter of like what excites you, right? And that those are the things that you want to get close to is like those are the things that improve your quality of life, really. And that's one of the most common things that we hear is like higher quality of life, more space,
Like,
slower lifestyle, or
yeah,
whatever the case may be, right? I think
yeah,
that's a big part of it.
that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you, what are the two major colleges in the Hudson Valley area that most people, their children would attend?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the Mid Hudson Valley region, you have Marist University now and Vassar College. In Southern, you've got like Pace University. You have, a bunch of different, further north, like as you get towards the north part, you have even like into Central New York, like Cornell and all these other colleges. So, Binghamton University is another very popular, because New York State, we have SUNY, which is State University of New York, colleges all throughout. So,
Mhm.
the Hudson Valley, it's important to understand too for people who don't know, the region's huge, right? It's absolutely massive. So you could drive for 2.5 hours and still be in the Hudson Valley. And so, it really is just depending on where you want to be, right?
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. I understand that. I mean, here in LA, we have obviously USC, we have UCLA, a lot of legal colleges, and then we have you guys have what was it called? CISNU? Say that one more time.
Oh,
CISNU. What was it?
SUNY,
SU,
SUNY, State University of New York.
SU. Okay, gotcha. Here in California, we have CSU. No, we don't have a just acronym for it, right? But that's Cal State University, and we have those all over the place. But the two big ones, USC and UCLA, are both here in Los Angeles. So that's good to know. You mentioned vibrant art communities. What would be one place if you were a creative leaving California, just saying, hey, you know what? I want to go back east. What's probably the most artsy community that you can think of that somebody from Hollywood or Oakland or somewhere in the East Bay might say, "Hey, I want to relocate there for the vibe, for the artistic vibe."
So I would say it's definitely Beacon. That's the number one community in the Hudson Valley in terms of it's a community that's gone through a massive renaissance over the last 10 years. It's a super vibrant. There's art galleries, there's the Dia, which is an art museum that's here. There's a vibrant arts community. And it's funny that you bring up the film production because a lot of the growth here in the Hudson Valley was a direct result of a state tax credit that came out 10, 12 years ago to incentivize film production in the
Mhm.
Hudson Valley. And a lot of major Hollywood films have been produced here. I forget which studio it is, actually has their largest set here in the Hudson Valley in Westchester County on the Hudson River in Yonkers. And so there's a huge investment from coming from California in a lot of these studios that are filming here, shows with A-list celebrities. Steven Spielberg's filmed here. A Quiet Place was filmed here. Like all these very well-known movies, TV shows are all being filmed here. And so a town like Woodstock, for example, there's a ton of Hollywood actors who have homes there. So there is a very vibrant arts community. There's a demand for it. And it's kind of low key, right? Like Paul Rudd lives here. A lot of different people live here that you would never really realize, but then you're like in the coffee shop and you like see someone, you're like, wait a second. You do double take. It's kind of weird, but it's not something that you necessarily would associate with the Hudson Valley like you would out west.
Yeah, it's funny you're mentioning that. We understand here in Los Angeles that our film industry is, for the lack of better terms, they're moving to other locations. We are a little bit worried here in Los Angeles about the film industry becoming similar to the auto industry as like Detroit was in the 1940s, 50s, 60s,
Mm.
and 70s. So we're a little bit concerned about that. But that's the reason why we're here. We are having people relocate from Los Angeles to your neck of the woods and other parts of the country because film production has shifted, not solely from California anymore, but all over the country. So that's really good to know, Jake. That's good insight, man. Next time you see Paul Rudd over at the coffee shop, did you ever do like slapping the bars, like it's like boom, 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 boom from that movie? I love that part, dude. That's my favorite line of his, dude. Cool. So let me ask you this. Not a lot of people have bought or sold who are watching this, I'm assuming, who have bought and sold in New York or Connecticut. Now, if you're somebody who's in our audience here in California, you kind of know the process. We have a lot of agents and consumers watching right now. But for the agents and even the consumers, what are some of the unique aspects of the purchasing and selling process that might stand out in other ways not similar to California? Like, sometimes, are you guys an attorney state or an escrow state? How long is your escrow? What's something unique about the process there?
So I would say two big things that are different, and it varies in many ways, market to market, even in New York and Connecticut. Number one, we are an attorney state. That's something that we get a lot of people moving down south or coming from the south, and they're escrow states in many places. So attorney state complicates the transaction. Our life cycle of a transaction, we track it. From accepted offer to closing, we average about 94 days. That's average. And some cash transactions are 30 days, and some are 4 or 5 months, right? So um, it's definitely a long life cycle. The second part is the due diligence piece. We in most markets do all inspections prior to contract signing. So you are not actually in contract or in escrow on your property until your inspections are done, which is very different than a lot of other markets. And even in New York, like there are pockets that do it with binders, and it's not really all that legally binding to begin with, but it's a very, very different because people are like, oh, we got an accepted offer, we're in contract, and you're not. And that buyer could walk away tomorrow, or the seller could sell it to another, buyer. In the last few years, we've seen a lot of, hey, we have an accepted offer, we do our inspection, and then someone comes along and outbids you. And so that's the speed of getting to escrow, getting to contract is very important from both perspectives. Because you don't want to lose that buyer as a buyer, you don't want to lose the house because someone outbid you.
Wow, that's so different from how we do it here in California. Traditionally, we have 30-day escrows. I mean, maybe you got an FHA or VA deal, it takes 35 to 40 days because of the red tape, right? But I mean, once you're in contract with the seller here in California, you're in contract with them. You're going to have a due diligence period for investigations and things like that. But it's going to be really tough for somebody to step in and outbid you, and just kind of steal the deal away. That's completely different. So you guys have a 90-day window to close escrow. What is the time frame from the time your offer gets accepted to the point where somebody else can come out and overbid you and steal the deal? 'Cause that's completely different from us here in LA.
Yeah, and it all varies, right? Like theoretically, our escrow is 30 to 45 days, but we are on our about date. And so oftentimes most interpretations of that are about 4 weeks post is an acceptable time frame to close. So if you say you're closing May 1st, both parties have until essentially say June 1st that they're allowed to close. So this could get pushed out unnecessarily for no reason. We could be ready to go in 45 days, and it could take another 30 to 45 days to close. Once you have an accepted offer, in theory, your inspection should be done within, say, 2 or 3, maybe 4 days, and then contracts will begin. The contract process, depending on the attorneys and how busy they are, could take a week, it could take a few days, it could take 2 weeks. Sometimes we're negotiating contracts for 10 days around holidays, attorney vacations, all of that stuff. And so typically, what we expect in like a smooth transaction is within 2 weeks of an accepted offer, we should be like executing contracts, opening escrow, and then hoping to close 2 months later, but it never ends up happening. Title delays and municipal issues, financing issues, appraisals take forever. And it's just there's no sense of urgency outside of the realtors from like pushing things along. And so the process ends up taking a little bit of time.
So different. That's so different from how we do it here. And I'm certain it's different from other parts of the country as well, which as we continue on with our Instagram series here, we're going to learn more about how people do contracts all over the country in the process. So dude, that's so cool to know. If you're moving to New York or Connecticut, understand it's not going to be a 30-day escrow unless it's cash, right? See, our cash offers, they can get done in 21 days or less. I've done a cash deal where we actually had contract on Saturday. We opened escrow Monday. We closed it on Friday. So totally it was 7 days, 7 calendar days. That's like rapidly fast, fastest I've ever done it. But that's so rare. But man, that's very unique. So guys and girls listening to that, take note. Completely different process. And for my real estate agents watching this right now in California, 90 days to close. That's huge. Big difference from us here, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Thank you for
I
sharing.
talk to agents in other markets like Florida and Georgia, and they're like, I can't believe how long it takes for you guys to close a deal. And like, what is an on or about date? Like our date is the date, that's when we're closing, like period, end of sentence.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
wild. It's crazy how it's done differently all across the country.
yeah. Location, right? I mean, it makes a
Yeah.
difference depending on where you're at in this industry and business. So very cool. That's good to know. Let me ask you this one last question before we let you run about your day. I know you're a busy guy. If I was coming to Hudson Valley and I had 24 hours, like on a weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, regardless of the weather, what would you recommend that I do? Things that I could not miss. My one time in Hudson Valley, what should I do, Jake?
What time of year is it?
And you tell me. So I mean, California, it's always
Because
summertime, right? We have,
yeah, I was just gonna say we have this thing called snow and winter over here. You guys don't get that. All
no,
right, so let's just say it's a nice summer day. It's like peak. It's absolutely beautiful out. I'll go up to like mid Hudson Valley area, like Dutchess County region. I would go to a town. We have one of the things here that I didn't even mention is the Culinary Institute of America. So we have the highest concentration of culinary run restaurants from people who graduated in the country here. So I would go out to a great meal, get breakfast, maybe hit a coffee shop. Then I would go to a vineyard or a winery and I would
mm,
relax, enjoy some of the views of the mountain, maybe spend the afternoon driving around in the countryside, taking in some of the views. And then, I'd go out to dinner, walk around a town like, say, let's, Beacon, go to the walkway over the Hudson in Poughkeepsie. It's the longest pedestrian bridge in the Western Hemisphere. It's like over a mile long, right over the Hudson River. It's an old abandoned train track, incredible views. And then I would just like take it all in, take in the scenery. It's very relaxing, great food, and just take in the communities, right? Go to some of the shops, go to some of the like boutique shops that are in town and kind of just, yeah, get to know everybody a little bit.
what's your favorite winery, Jake?
Hmm. So in across the western side of the river, there's a place called Ben Marl. I think it has some of the best wine in the Hudson Valley, and you get to just like sit out on their patio, like panoramic views of the whole entire Hudson Valley region. You get the river, you get the mountains, like it's so picturesque. They have like either food trucks or like they have like a wood-fired pizzas, and you can just like relax, have great wine, chill, and it's a good vibe.
I'm writing that down, man. When I come out to visit, that's where we're gonna go hang out for a second. Now, we had a great dinner in Omaha, right? The Drover Steakhouse. If I want to go get a fantastic steak in Hudson Valley, where are you gonna send me to?
So blue. Bluestone Barns in Terrytown is a Michelin-starred restaurant. It's like an insane farm-to-table culinary experience, like rated one of the best restaurants in the world. I would go there. Like absolutely insane. I think it's like a 9 or 12 course meal, tasting menu, like wine pairing, the whole thing. Like it's amazing. And it's all like sourced from their farm on site, like directly like out the back door to your kitchen, to your plate. It's like wild.
That's the move, man. We got to make a reservation. Open table, Resi. Let's make it happen, dude. That sounds great to me. I
Yeah.
love it. So, little artisan breakfast, hit a winery, walk the bridge, enjoy the views. We'll get a nice juicy steak. I love it, man. That's really fun. I like that. Jake, you've been such a help today. I thank you so much for sharing your insight on how you guys do business there in the Hudson Valley in New York and Connecticut. Now, I know you're working with Ryan Sernhant now. Are we going to see you on TV anytime soon, bro?
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if you guys are watching this right now and you guys see this smiling face, that's your buddy Jake. And all referrals in Hudson Valley, you should be calling Jake right here. Please follow his Instagram account. He's a smart cookie. He's here with us. He's open. He's knowledgeable. He's willing to have the conversation with you guys and girls. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us for our first Instagram live session of the spring season. So, Jake, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I do appreciate you. You're the best, man. You rock, and I'm wishing you nothing but success and growth in your new journey there at Sirhant, okay?
Thanks, Vic. This was awesome. I really appreciate you inviting me to do this, and I would love to do it again. So thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much. That's going to be it for today, everybody. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed our little half-hour talk with Jake Garay out of Hudson Valley. Again, please follow his Instagram, connect with him. He's a smart guy. For our agents who are watching this right now, hey, it's always good to have a heavy hitter in your pocket, and this guy knows Hudson Valley. So let's get those referrals going back and forth. And for those of you looking to relocate to the Hudson Valley, of course, Jake's your guy. And if you're watching on Jake's feed and you guys need an agent in LA, I'd love to volunteer to be your
Give
agent of
him a
choice
call.
here on Los
You're my
Angeles.
go-to
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All
Yep.
right, everybody. That's it for today. Jake, enjoy the rest of your day, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Okay, guys?
Thanks, Vic. Talk to you soon.
See you guys. Bye bye now.